Leo, gold is falling from heaven and it's calling your name. The question is, are you ready to receive it? Let's be real. You didn't land on this video by accident. You felt something shift, something quiet but persistent nudging at your spirit. Maybe it was a strange dream, a repeating number that caught your eye, or a restless feeling that wouldn't go away. That subtle inner pull? It's your higher self aligning with the message you're about to hear. This isn't just another astrology reading. It's a moment. A moment where your timing and the universe's timing finally sync. And Leo, what's coming your way isn't small. It's gold. Real gold in the form of opportunity, clarity, and a kind of love that doesn't just warm your heart, it heals it. This week, from October 11th to 14th, something rare is unfolding in the sky. The sun, your ruling planet, is forming a powerful trine with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, wisdom, and blessings. When these two forces align, especially in fire energy, doors that seemed permanently shut suddenly creak open. And not just any door. This is what we call a golden portal. A divine window. And yes, Leo, you are being directly invited to walk through it. In today's reading, 3 cards came forward with clarity and conviction: the Fool, Ace of Pentacles, and the Sun. These aren't vague messages. They are direct, unmistakable signs that a new beginning is being handed to you. You're not just starting something, you're being handed the tools to create something that lasts. The Fool reminds you that risk is often the price of freedom. The Ace of Pentacles shows that money, opportunity, or a fresh path in career is already circling around you. And the Sun? That's you. Fully seen. Fully celebrated. Fully alive. But let's talk about the part that goes deeper than career and coins. Someone is watching you with quiet admiration. Someone who has seen your strength, your resilience, your light, maybe from afar, maybe in silence. They haven't spoken yet, maybe because of fear or timing, but their energy is strong. This isn't just attraction. It's soul-level recognition. You are the light they've been looking for, and when the moment is right, they'll reach out. And when they do, it will feel like destiny finally catching up to you. Now, before we go further, I want to take a pause. If you're still watching, that tells me something. You're not just curious. You're ready. Ready to stop overthinking and start listening. Ready to stop chasing and start receiving. And if that sounds like you, I want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. For trusting your intuition. For being part of this moment with me. Every time you hit like, leave a comment, or subscribe, you're not just supporting a channel, you're saying yes to being part of a soul family. And I deeply appreciate that. If you've been seeing 1111, 888, or 1010 lately, that's no coincidence. That's confirmation. And if this message resonates even a little, say something in the comments. Let this moment be more than a private insight. Let it be a shared alignment. You can simply write, "I accept the gold meant for me," or "This is the sign I needed." I'd love to hear from you. So, Leo, what brought you here today? What pulled you in? What if that gentle tug was the start of something life-changing? Stay with me. Because what the universe is about to reveal next, you won't want to miss. There's something about the Ace of Pentacles that doesn't just whisper possibility, it announces it. When this card appears, especially in alignment with current astrological patterns like the trine between the Sun and Jupiter, it signals more than a lucky break. It's a clear, energetic green light. One that says, you've waited, you've worked, now are you ready to receive? And here's the thing about receiving: most people don't realize that it's not passive. It's an act. It requires openness, courage, and most of all, readiness. Not in your calendar, not in your bank account, but in your heart. Right now, Jupiter, the planet that expands whatever it touches, is forming a rare and supportive trine to your ruler, the Sun. This isn't just a good omen. It's a cosmic amplifier. What you speak now, what you visualize, what you agree to, could multiply faster than you expect. This transit doesn't give you gold. It opens the vault. Whether or not you walk through is entirely up to you. That's what makes this energy so powerful. It's not forcing anything on you. It's inviting you to rise, to match your own potential. The Ace of Pentacles is the seed, but you are the one who must plant it. Think of it like this: imagine someone standing on a cloud above you, gently lowering a golden pouch. Inside it, a new job offer, a financial connection, a business idea, or maybe even a conversation that changes your professional future. But here's the twist: they're not dropping it into your lap. They're offering it. Which means your hands have to be open. You have to be ready. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is say yes. And I get it, saying yes to something new can feel risky. Maybe you've said yes before and ended up disappointed. Maybe you've worked hard only to feel like things didn't move. That hesitation, that fear of repeating the past, it's valid. But it's also the very thing you're being called to move through right now. Because this energy, this opening, isn't about what used to happen. It's about who you've become, what you've learned, and how ready you truly are, even if your mind isn't convinced yet. Let me offer something practical here. Take a moment, after this video, or even pause right now, and write down 3 financial or career opportunities you've been hesitating about. Offers you've declined. Projects you've postponed. Ideas you've shelved. Then ask yourself, which one of these might be the golden key I've been praying for but haven't dared to turn? The act of writing creates clarity. The act of asking opens a spiritual door. And if you've been seeing the number 888 or it shows up right after this video ends, and brush it off. In numerology, 888 is a sacred code that signals financial flow and divine reward. It often appears when money is not just coming in, but when it's meant for you in a way that aligns with your deeper purpose. So if it shows up, take it seriously. You're not imagining the timing. Now, if any part of this resonates, if a thought came to mind while I was speaking, or your body reacted in some small, honest way, and just sit with it silently. Declare it. Write a comment. You can simply say, I'm ready to receive the gold meant for me. Why? Because words create energy. When you declare your openness, you invite the universe to move. And right now, it is already moving toward you. So, are your hands open? There are certain moments in life when you sense someone watching, not in a way that makes you uncomfortable, but in a way that feels familiar. Like a quiet warmth in a crowded room. A feeling that lingers longer than a glance should. That's the energy we're stepping into now, and it's beautifully reflected through the cards that showed up in this part of the reading: Temperance, King of Wands, and the Star. These are not just cards about attraction, they speak of soulful alignment, of a magnetic connection that's been quietly building behind the scenes. The presence of Temperance tells us that someone is trying to balance their emotions. They've been observing you, not necessarily in person, but perhaps online, through mutual circles, or even energetically. This is someone who sees you as more than beautiful or talented. They see you as healing, as light, as something safe in a world that often feels chaotic. But they haven't stepped forward yet. And maybe that's because they're unsure if they're enough for you. Or maybe they sense the strength in you and wonder if you even need anyone at all. That hesitancy is real, and it's rooted in something many of us can relate to: the fear of not being received. The King of Wands brings a deeper layer to this. It suggests this person holds a powerful presence. They're passionate, ambitious, and charismatic, someone who commands attention without trying. But when it comes to love, especially a kind of love that feels fated, they may freeze. Especially if they've been hurt before or have a pattern of controlling every outcome. Love doesn't bend to our timelines. And I think they're starting to realize that. Then there's the stare, a quiet promise. A whisper that says, this is something worth waiting for. This is the card of divine timing, of long-held wishes inching closer after seasons of silence. It suggests that while this person may not have come forward yet, their heart is already facing you. Their energy is trying to meet you halfway. And sometimes, that's the most honest start to a love story. If you've ever felt like there's someone out there for you, someone who already loves you without needing to know every detail of your past, this might be that moment where their soul starts to reach yours. Maybe you've dreamt of them. Maybe they've passed through your mind randomly in the quiet hours. Or maybe you've been sensing a change in your energy lately and didn't know why. Love, especially love born from alignment, often begins like this: soft, uncertain, and then suddenly undeniable. So what can you do with this energy? Something simple but powerful: open the door. Write a letter to the one you haven't met yet. You don't need to send it. Just write it. Describe what you're ready to give. What you hope to receive. Who you're becoming. Then say to yourself, I am open to being loved, fully and without condition. Stand in front of a mirror and speak it aloud if you can. Because words have weight, and your energy has already been heard. If anything in you resonated while hearing this, don't let it stay a private feeling. Say it out loud or type it below. You can write, I open my heart to divine love. Let this be a turning point, not just a moment. Love isn't waiting for perfection, it's waiting for presence. And your presence here already tells me that your heart is ready, whether you realize it or not. There comes a moment when the weight of waiting becomes heavier than the fear of moving. If you're honest with yourself, you probably know that moment. It's the night you couldn't sleep because your mind kept circling a decision you were too scared to make. It's the time you rewrote the same message a dozen times and never hit send. It's that gnawing feeling in your gut that tells you something big could happen if only you would stop thinking and start moving. The energy of this part of the reading speaks directly to that moment. The Nine of Swords is the classic overthinker's card. It's not fear of failure, it's fear of what if. What if I choose wrong? What if it doesn't work? What if I'm not ready? But here's what we don't often talk about. What if the delay is the failure? What if standing still costs more than falling forward ever could? That's what the universe is asking you to face right now. And it's not doing it through force or pressure, it's doing it through opportunity. The King of Swords brings in a powerful reminder. Clarity doesn't come from analysis alone. It comes from alignment. From truth. From understanding when your mind is protecting you versus when it's holding you back. He asks you to be honest about whether the voice in your head is wisdom or just worry dressed up in a suit. And when paired with the Fool, the message becomes undeniable: leap. But not recklessly. Leap intentionally. Because the Fool doesn't jump out of ignorance. He jumps because he trusts that the next chapter will carry him in ways the last one couldn't. Think of it like this: you're standing at the edge of something big. Maybe it's a decision you've avoided. A change you've sensed but resisted. A door you know you need to walk through, but the handle feels too far away. Now imagine that fear is a fog around you. And just a few feet ahead beyond that foggy's a rainbow. Not a metaphorical one. A real opportunity. It's colorful, it's aligned, and it only appears when you step forward. The only way to see it clearly is to walk into the mist, even if your heart is pounding. Especially if your heart is pounding. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. In fact, the insistence on knowing every outcome is often what blocks the miracle. So here's something practical. Take out a piece of paper and write down 3 decisions you've avoided this past month. Now, next to each one, ask yourself, if I chose courage instead of fear, what might become possible? Don't overthink the answer. Just write. Let it be raw. That act alone can shift your energy. Then, try this breathwork practice. Inhale slowly and say to yourself, I breathe in confidence. Exhale and whisper, I release doubt. Repeat that 3 times. It's simple, but incredibly grounding when your mind won't quiet down. If you feel something stirring inside you as you listen, that's your inner compass realigning. This isn't about pushing yourself into uncomfortable territory for the sake of it. It's about remembering that you are the author of your momentum. You can choose bravery even when your hands are shaking. You can begin before you're fully ready. Because sometimes, readiness is not a condition, it's a decision. If this part of the message hit home for you, speak it into the space. Declare it in the comments below by writing, I step into the miraculous. Let the universe know you're not waiting on certainty anymore. You're moving with trust. And that alone can change everything. There's something sacred about the space we call home. Not just the walls, the roof, or the things we fill it with, but the feeling it holds. The truth is, your outer environment often reflects your inner reality. And when the cards that showed up here, 10 of Pentacles, the Star, and the Sun speak this loudly, they aren't just talking about a physical house. They're speaking to a shift in how secure, seen, and sustained you're about to feel on every level. For many people, especially those with fire energy like Leo, success is often pursued through external validation, career, recognition, money. But what often gets missed in that pursuit is the root. Where do you recharge? Who gets to see your unfiltered self? What space allows your spirit to breathe and stretch and be without performance? This next season is asking you to take that seriously. Because a breakthrough in finances or abundance is only as meaningful as the ground it lands on. And the universe is trying to bring you the kind of blessing that needs a steady, open place to arrive. The Ten of Pentacles reminds us that long-term wealth isn't just income, it's inheritance. Not necessarily in the literal sense, but in what you are building that lasts. A legacy. A system of support. A place where future joy is rooted in present intention. When paired with the star, this becomes even more personal. It's the emotional restoration that says, you are worthy of resting. You are worthy of being held. You are worthy of a life where peace isn't a luxury, it's a default. And the sun, with its radiant affirmation, tells us that not only are these things coming theory already in motion. What's being formed now may outlast you. And it all begins with where and how you choose to plant your life. Sometimes the spiritual work isn't in chasing the next big vision, it's in reorganizing your space. Cleaning out the corners where dust has collected both literally and energetically. Making room, physically and emotionally, for something better. This isn't just spring cleaning. It's soul clearing. You may find yourself suddenly called to repaint a room, donate clothes, throw out old papers, rearrange your altar, or even start looking for a new home altogether. These nudges aren't random. They're intuitive prompts from the universe saying, it's time to expand. Make room for more. If you've been seeing the number 1010, that's not coincidence, it's confirmation. In numerology, it marks the end of an old cycle and the beginning of a new one. Often it shows up when you're closing a karmic loop or when a long-awaited shift is about to anchor in the physical realm. When you see it, say thank you. Out loud, even. Gratitude in the moment signals to the universe that you're not only ready to receive, you're already receiving. Here's something simple you can do to align. Each morning, spend 10 minutes visualizing the home you truly want, not just where you live, but how you live in it. Imagine the textures, the sounds, the people, even the smells. Picture yourself safe, supported, and free. Then speak, my dream home is filled with light, fresh flowers, and laughter. And feel the truth of it, even if you don't know how it will come yet. And if anything about this part stirred something in you, say it out loud. Comment below with, I am the architect of my abundance. I am the owner of my prosperity. Let those words lay the foundation of what you're building, brick by brick, breath by breath. Because the future you're stepping into doesn't just need a roof over your head. It needs a sanctuary for your soul. And you, dear heart, are ready to create it. There's something quiet but deeply powerful about realizing you've been searching for something that was never lost. For many Leos, that something is recognition. Approval. Proof that who you are is enough. And it makes sense. Leo is ruled by the sun, a force that was never designed to be hidden. But over time, after enough disappointments or dimmed reflections from the people around you, you might start to believe you need someone else to validate your light. This final part of the message is here to remind you of a truth you've probably felt before: you are the light you've been looking for. When the sun shows up in a reading, especially for Leo, it's like the soul is speaking without filters. This card doesn't whisper. It radiates. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply shines. And its presence here is not a prediction, it's a confirmation. A reflection of what's already inside you, waiting to come forward. The kind of light that doesn't compete. It just is. And when you remember that, something shifts. You stop asking for a seat at the table. You realize you are the table. You stop waiting for applause. You understand that your existence alone is a standing ovation from the universe. But let's talk about what this actually means in real life. It means no longer molding yourself into the version of you think will be accepted. It means not shrinking when someone else is intimidated by your presence. It means giving yourself permission to take up space without guilt. For some, that starts with a small ritual, like stepping into the sunlight each morning for just 5 minutes and saying, "I absorbed the energy that was always mine." Let that practice be less about the vitamin D and more about remembering who you are, at your core. You don't need to do anything extraordinary to be worthy. You don't need to hustle for worthiness or perform for love. The sun reminds you that you exist, and therefore you matter. Period. And when you live from that knowing, when you embody the vibration of enoughness, everything around you shifts. People respond to energy more than words. And the energy of someone who knows their own light is magnetic. Not because they're trying, but because they've stopped trying to be anything else. If color influences your mood, which it often does energetically, then lean into golden hues this week. Gold is not just associated with wealth, it's a frequency of divine self-worth. Orange activates your sacral chakra, reminding you of your power to create and connect. Pearl white invites in softness, grace, and a return to innocence, not naivety, but trust. Wear these colors with intention. Surround yourself with reminders of your radiance, not because you need to prove anything, but because it's time to remember everything. If this part of the message resonates with you even in the smallest way, speak it. Type it. Claim it. You can comment below, "I am the light. I am the gold." Let that be your declaration, not for anyone else's validation, but as a way to seal your energy and realign with the truth. Because the truth is, you've never needed the spotlight. You were born as the source of it. You've never had to beg for love. You are the presence that calls it home. And no one gets to define your value, not when you already are the definition. Leo, if you've made it this far, then something inside you has already said yes, maybe not out loud, maybe not fully, but something in you stayed, listened, softened. That's not a coincidence. That's alignment. The truth is, the universe doesn't shout. It whispers through nudges, through intuitive pulls, through quiet moments like this, where you realize you've always known more than you gave yourself credit for. That maybe all the signs you've been waiting for were never meant to arrive outside of you but from you. Everything you've just heard wasn't just information. It was an invitation. Gold is falling not metaphorically, but energetically. Love is making its way to you not in fantasy, but through alignment. A new chapter is available not if you're perfect, but because you're present. And now the question becomes, will you claim it? Not in a loud or dramatic way, but in the quiet, personal decision that says, "I'm ready. I don't need to keep hiding my light. I don't need to ask permission to shine. I don't need to chase what's already mine." You've seen the patterns. You've felt the shift. You've recognized your old fears trying to hold you back, and yet here you are, still listening, still leaning in. That, to me, is a soul saying yes. So here's what I'd love for you to do. Not for me, not even just for this channel, but for your own energetic clarity. Take one thing you've heard today, one phrase, one image, one truth that made your heart pause, and write it in the comments below. Let it anchor. Let it land. You can also comment something simple like, I say yes to my light, I accept the gold meant for me, or I am open to divine love. These are not just words. They're declarations. And declarations shift energy. If this video brought something real to you, clarity, hope, maybe just a breath of relief, share it with someone. You never know whose turning point you might be holding. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to Eternal Mindfulness, where this work continues not as content, but as a conversation. A space where your growth, your healing, and your spiritual journey are seen and honored. Not because you need fixing, but because you deserve remembering who you already are. So let me ask you this. What if you stopped waiting? What if everything you've been hoping for was just waiting on one thing, you? Not your perfection. Just your permission. Could you be brave enough to say yes to what's already finding its way to you? Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. You could have clicked away at any time, but you stayed. That means something. From my heart to yours, I hope you remember this. You are not chasing the miracle. You are the miracle. And the moment you say yes to that, everything changes.